Yeah.
We are talking about Star Trek Picard Season 2, Episode
4.
4, titled The Watcher. And I know some people had some issues with it. I had a couple issues with it, but overall, I actually had a good time. And we're going to get into this in deep because I think that Shane and I might disagree a little bit on this episode.
Ooh, those are fun. I like it when we
Yeah.
disagree.
So, listen, if you are not watching Picard and you haven't seen the latest episode, again, episode 4 of season 2, The Watcher, heavy spoilers ahead because we're about to
Yeah, we're gonna wreck it.
we're going to break it down and we're going to break it apart.
We're gonna come off of the top rope and we're gonna come down on it.
Okay. So Shane, we'll start with you, then I'll explain. I'll give you my notes.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, we both. So why don't we start from the beginning and just kind of go through it instead of the whole thing? You know what I mean? Let's talk about kind of the first scene. Can I just say that there was like a weird start of it that I did not like, and it was that Agnes is like freezing, right, and Picard's like, we gotta light a fire, right?
Right.
And then he's like, okay, let's set up the cloaking device. So my question is, they don't have enough power to like heat the inside of the ship, but they can cloak the dang thing? Isn't that kind of weird?
I'm not going to pretend that I know how cloaking devices work, but I would assume that cloaking devices require a reasonable amount of power. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe a fire wasn't necessary. Maybe you can't heat the whole ship. Maybe just find a room and turn the heater on there.
Okay, I just feel like it's lazy writing because what they really wanted to do was get to Chateau Picard.
They wanted to get the chateau.
So they force these storylines that are irritating, that don't make any sense, to get the characters to move.
Right.
We've been watching stuff for a long time, and I don't know if they're just not teaching people this, or it's lazy, or I don't know what it is, but it's bad writing. That is an element of bad writing.
It was like, yeah, they want to get to the chateau, so they need a reason. And the reason was, oh, you're cold. You have a blanket on. We can't light a fire in the ship.
They didn't need a reason. Picard could have literally said, let's go to the we didn't even need a reason.
Right.
Like I want to go see what this place looks like in 2024.
So,
right?
and like, with that said, I don't know if it's by definition lazy writing. I think it's more like just sort of bad. Like, they feel like it's almost like they do not trust the audience.
Right.
That they need to include a reason because the audience is too dumb to understand that they change scenes.
Yeah, it's like they grab his head and turn him. Like turn you. It's like, look at here, look over here, look. We are smart enough. Star Trek fans are intelligent viewers. Trust me.
Well,
we wouldn't be watching this stuff if we weren't.
Most of us. There's plenty of.
Well, maybe we're not intelligent anymore,
viewers.
But we used to be. When Star Trek was intelligent, we were intelligent with it.
I did like the fact that 15 kept coming up for her. I think that was a cool little
That was cool.
that's
cool.
like hey, there's more stuff to come with this.
Like a subliminal. That was nice.
Yeah, like she picked out the 15th encyclopedia. She counted 15 beads. She picked up the 1915 alcohol. Which, by the way, how in the world has this place not been raided yet? If you got bottles of wine from 1915, you know how valuable those are?
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, okay, it's cool because I was just about to I wanted to say a positive thing, and that was, I like the addition of the Chateau Picard history. We just got a whole canon, filled up with about Chateau Picard, about the Nazis, holding it during World War II, and that the Picard family ended up going to Europe, which kind of explains some things, because they end up coming back, as we see at the beginning of the show. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of cool just to have that whole story about it, and I like that. But then you find this ridiculously old bottles of wine, and you're thinking like, anybody could just walk in here and take this stuff. What's going on?
Yeah, perfectly preserved. Yeah, you got these expensive bottles of wine from 100+ years ago. You have
maybe people in France don't steal.
First edition encyclopedias. Like, listen, everything that they showed had value. And where I'm from, I can't leave my garbage too far out in the street, or someone will try to take the trash cans that belong to the city.
that's a good point, actually.
So, yeah, but that's also a little bit nitpicky. I'll tell you
I
what's
mean,
not
it is.
nitpicky. Stop talking about Picard's mom because you're stressing me out.
It's not going to happen. It's
It's
not going
stressing
to
me out
happen.
so much that we're getting so much of Picard's mom. I swear, like guys, I can deal with a lot. I can accept a lot of abuse from my lover on screen, but I tell you what I can't accept. I cannot accept in any way because I can't because I listen. I try to connect the craziest of dots, but I
Yeah.
can't in any way explain how his mother can be the Borg Queen. So just don't do it.
She can't be, and if they do it, then it's all down the tube. So please don't do it. And I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I don't have a lot of faith sometimes in the writing, but I don't think they'll do that. I do believe, and I'll explain one more time because I keep hearing it come up in other shows that you do and other people do. The reason why she said those words to him is because as Locutus, the Borg knew all of his thoughts and everything, and she knew that would impact him if she said it because it was something from his childhood. And of course, they had just showed it to us. So that's why the Borg Queen used those words. It's not his mother. Okay.
Okay, so and I want to believe that. I do.
Yes.
Because that's what I think too. He was the
Okay.
cutest. Makes complete sense. 100%. But just throwing it out there, man. They can anyways. All right, let's move on. The stuff at the let me get there. The stuff at the All right, so this is a cool Easter egg.
Oh, were
The
they
guy
already?
with the
Okay.
boombox.
Yeah. So that's
That's
actually really cool.
that is the punk rocker from A Voyage Home. The one that Spock pinched his neck because he was like being obnoxious with his boombox. And Spock asked him to turn it down. And he said, "Stuff you, man," or something like that. And
Yeah. The actor's name is Kirk Thatcher.
and Spock gave him the old neck pinch, and everyone in the bus cheered. Now, here's the great thing. She asked him to turn it down, and he said, "Oh, yeah, no problem." Now,
Right.
a lot of people assumed it's because he remembers getting neck pinched by Spock. However,
Well, that's what people believe. Yeah.
that that's a pot. I guess you can think that, but that
I-
it actually wouldn't make any sense because in this timeline, Spock and Kirk didn't go back in time.
Yes. Okay. We're not there yet. We're not going to talk about that yet.
However, it might have nothing to do with Spock and Kirk. It might just be the fact that the guy is older and he's no longer a dickhead.
Okay. Yeah.
And
maybe.
it was played for laughs because the audience saw the character and they were expecting a different reaction, but instead of reacting poorly, he reacted the opposite of the way he reacted in that movie, and
I
that
don't
was the
think that's
comedy
the
of
case.
it.
I don't. I mean, I think they probably intended it to, and this is where Terry Matalas is kind of getting in a little bit of trouble. I think somebody mentioned, and I forgot to. We'll have to go back and look at it. I don't know if you can see it there. Does he actually grab his neck?
No, he just turns
So
the
you for
thing
sure?
He just says, "Oh, I'm sorry about that," and he
He
turns it
didn't put
down.
one hand to his neck, right, when he did it.
No. One
Some
hand's
people
on the
like that.
boombox, and the other hand is turning down the boombox.
Okay, maybe that was the joke, but I think he's supposed to have learned his lesson. The idea is he's supposed to have learned his lesson. Yeah, he did put his hand on his neck and he turned it. Yes, he did.
No, he grabbed. He
Nope.
didn't grab his neck where the no. That's stretch. He grabbed this. He adjusted his collar, then he turned it down.
I got it, but okay. Anyways, it can be argued until Terry comes out and says specifically what they meant. Of course, now he's going to say what you said, because the reality is that if they're saying that, and we'll get to this, if they're saying that Guinan doesn't know Picard, then that means that guy couldn't have been neck pinched by Spock.
You're right, and I complete. Dude, the explanation of Guinan not knowing, well, we're gonna get there, but the explanation of him not knowing Picard makes complete sense to me. I'm not sure why people are fighting this.
Well, at first I was upset about it, but now let's put it this way: I have Back to the Future myself into reasoning.
Oh, okay, because I understood it immediately.
I didn't because there was a little bit of things moving around. But now I think I've got it.
Okay. All right. I still like the fact that her bar is on the corner of forward and then and 10. It's sort of
I hate
cool.
it. I hate it, bro.
Look, I understand it's completely not necessary.
No, it's not that it's not necessary. It should not exist.
It's an Easter egg, bro.
No, it doesn't matter. Okay, look. Okay. Forward 10 forward is deck 10 forward section.
I understand what 10 forward is.
Okay, so there's no reason, if there's no federation, there's absolutely no reason for this bar to exist in 2024. If in the future, I know it does in the future exist, right? But there's no reason for this to exist at this time and give an homage to a ship that does not exist.
No, you're completely right. I believe that we thought initially that it was like, oh, she purposely got 10 on forward because of her time on the ship. But I think it's just a fun little Easter egg that they threw in there.
I mean, I get it's fun, and I'm just saying like, if we're gonna review the show, you can have fun with it, but things also need to make sense.
Here's one thing that doesn't make sense. He picked up Saurian brandy.
Yeah, I mean, it is something from the future.
That is, or at least from another planet for sure.
Well, she's a Lorian, so she came from another planet, so it's not unreasonable that she would have it.
Okay. I like that they recast her.
Yeah, I mean, I would have rather had, of course, the original Whoopi Goldberg, but de-aging is very expensive.
Yeah.
And on top of that, she also had something going on. She had at that time, I think she was recovering from was it Stakita, and she was unable to be very mobile at that time. She really couldn't do a lot. If you notice when she is filming in Picard, she's not doing a lot of moving around. So she may not have been able to even be de-aged to actually go through this process. And I think it was fine that they recast with somebody else, and she did a fine job.
Yeah.
As far as the character itself and kind of her attitude about things with humanity, I don't know if I felt how I felt about it like that. I was a little bit.
It's a little heavy-handed.
It is very heavy. I understand that Star Trek is progressive. Star Trek's greatness in being progressive was at a time when the counterculture was truly the counterculture. And nowadays we have this kind of 50-50 split on two sides, and it's extraordinarily, it's very toxic. It's very real, more than it has probably in any other time in our history. And so when you come out in pop culture and you lean so heavily to one side, you tip the whole thing.
Right.
They're just pushing it too much. And they're standing behind, oh, Trek has always been progressive. I understand Trek has always been progressive. But what we're living in right now, you can lighten up on the messages a little bit. It does not have to be so in your face and kind of offensive in some ways.
All right,
I get
so
we got problems.
The whole ice thing.
Yeah, they're
Bro,
just...
Dude, okay. I'm going to be really clear with everyone. I'm almost positive that ICE doesn't just randomly disappear immigrants they find on the street.
I know. Listen, I get the maybe the feeling, and this is you know what? This is being written by people who obviously have no idea how it's done. And I'm not saying we're experts. We do live in California where most of the ICE stuff seems to occur. And they do look for illegal immigrants. Their goal is to take them back to their country. And I'm sure it's a scary experience for those illegal immigrants. But that doesn't mean that every one of them is a jerk. And they're knocking people around, and they're disrespectful.
They just
and evil.
walk in there and just tase the guy. Like that is not a thing that happens. Here's the deal.
I mean, maybe even if it is, it's like, why?
It's comic book villain stuff. Here's the thing too. The way the real world works, and I'm assuming that this is not in our world, so maybe I can give them a little credit. This is in a different world than what we actually live in. But
it's true.
When you get picked up for your papers, you get a court date.
Right.
Okay, so guys, we live in California. We know. I know how this works. My wife has family members who this happened to. Here's the deal.
That's true.
You get picked up without your papers, right? First off, 99% of the time, regular cops don't care, and they're not even going to bother you. If you get picked up by ICE because you're working at a restaurant or something without papers, you get picked up, you go to the paddy wagon, you're held overnight, you get a court date, and you get released. You guys, you get a court date and you get released. And you guys show up to court. Now listen, after the third time is when you no longer get court dates.
Yes.
And now they're going to take you back to Mexico.
So if you were an illegal citizen or illegal person and you did not go to court when you were supposed to, then once they get you the next time, then they're just taking you back to Mexico or wherever you came from.
Right. They process you so they have your fingerprints, they know who you are. And if you miss your court date, then you're going to go to Mexico or wherever you're from. Here's the deal. They're not disappearing people. They don't just take them out in the middle of the desert and shoot them in the head. They're not going to
They're not going to Cuba.
Yeah, they're not going to some facility where they're going to be, you're going to lose them permanently. This is not the way it works. So maybe it works in this weird timeline.
True. Yeah. Okay.
But I feel like they're trying to make a social statement. And if that's the social statement they're trying to make, that's not how it works. So you're making a social statement incorrectly.
Well, this is why I was talking to you earlier in the week. And I'm like, how do you feel? Do you think Star Trek is in our universe or not? And it's interesting because, once the eugenic wars happened in the 90s, I think Star Trek, it started in the 60s as an intentionally being in our universe.
Right.
Like the galaxy that Star Trek is in and traveling through is ours, timeline.
Right.
But when the eugenics wars didn't happen, I think it became not our reality.
Right.
But we've always watched Star Trek believing in it. When they go back to the 1986 in the voyage home, we think of that as our home.
Well, technically it would be because before the eugenic wars.
Well, I guess you're right, technically. So nobody's ever said it, but I guess this is technically a different reality since we didn't actually have that happen. But it still lines up with it's a message that they're trying to push. And it's just a little too much. It's too much.
Yeah, guys, it's the definition of heavy-handed. I don't know what to tell you. It's just too much.
It's and there's multiple messages here. And it's just lighten up a little bit and let's enjoy the TV show. If you want to sneak in your little, swipes, then do so. But it doesn't have to be, Guinan's leaving the planet because humanity is destroying the Earth. Mm-hmm. And they don't like people of her skin color.
Yeah, that was silly.
So she's
However, when he told her not to give up on humanity, and the TNG theme plays,
that was a good counterbalance. Yes,
freaking awesome.
Thank God. I was actually for that moment. I was like, oh my God, there's hope here. There is Star Trek where they're talking about hope for the future.
Right,
and it's Picard, and that moment was a good moment.
It was a great moment, and that I'm sorry, I'm gonna give Picard credit where it's due. This season, the sound design has been absolutely perfect.
Oh, the sound? Yes, it's been good.
The sound the ship makes is all the ships are right back to where
communicator badges,
used to. Yeah. Transporters sound the same. The music has this Star Trek, right? Even though the Picard music is not the classic Star Trek music we're used to, it has a it feels like Star Trek music. And they just know how to put the right things, the sound design this season has been it's so good.
Yeah, that's really positive. Also directing this episode and actually back-to-back episodes is Leah Thompson. Of course, you remember her from the Back to the Future franchise as being the mom.
Yeah, also the reason I hit puberty at 13 years old.
Right. So she's actually directing these episodes, and when we get to the portion about time travel with Guinan, it's kind of ironic that she's the director while we're having this Back to the Future moment. And that's actually what helped me understand it. I guess we can actually talk about it, but real quick shout out for Brian Quinn from Jokers.
Oh, that was so great.
He was Guinan's friend, and I kept double taking. I'm like, I know that guy.
It's Brian Quinn. Where's that guy? Yeah, it's Q.
And it was Q from the Jokers. It's not a Joker's. What is it? It's
Impractical Jokers, bro.
Impractical Jokers. I don't know why he did it or what happened or the story. I'd be curious to find out how he got this small speaking role and what that was about. And I don't know if we'll see him again in the series. We'll have to see what happens. Although Picard did tell Guinan, don't leave the planet, so I'm sure we will see her again.
Yeah.
Although she was summarily dismissed, and it's very curious as to why she's somehow made the Watchers angry.
The Watchers don't like her, apparently. And that little girl was like, I'm going to put my foot through your head. I'm like, whoa.
I mean, it was pretty, like, she's really angry at her for something.
I got to be honest, that little girl knows how to act, bro. That little actress, she knows how to act because, like, it was visceral. So either she's a really good actor or maybe she really just hates the actress that played Guinan.
Well, right. And then when they took the Watcher out of her body, and then the kid walked away, she looked better confused than the rest of them. But
she did a better job than the rest of the people who just sort of like walked away.
Yeah, we're gonna have to question this whole idea of the Watcher just like randomly taking over anybody and controlling them when they want to. That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's very, very MCU. I just realized this. They're getting in a Homeland Security bus. Why is that?
Maybe ICE works for Homeland Security?
No, ICE does not work for Homeland Security.
Are you sure? It's a federal organization.
I mean, listen, you guys let me know in the comment section. Right now. Am I wrong? I'm almost positive that they're two separate organizations.
Homeland Security is over all of them.
Okay.
Homeland Security was a new branch that was created back when I was in the military still.
Yeah, during when the Twin Towers were bombed.
Yeah, just after that. Immigrations and yes, Homeland Security is in charge of immigrations and custom enforcement.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but yeah, so ICE, this whole thing. But let's talk about
this moment. Thing. Actually, can we talk about this interaction between Jurati and the Queen?
Oh yeah, the Queen is like seducing Jurati. Yeah,
right. I feel like Jurati is making a mistake by pissing the Queen off.
Well, yeah. I mean, I kind of liked it, but at the same time, I'm like, oh man, not that the Queen wouldn't stop at nothing to do exactly what she wants to do, but it was cool to see Agnes she basically fooled her, got her to do what she wanted to do, and then said, no, I'm not going to give you what you want, and she walked away.
Right. Yeah, it was sort of gangster, but also sort of like, why are you provoke? In the words of the almighty Q, we don't provoke the Borg.
Amen. Well, Agnes is not exactly commonsensically screwed on.
That's true.
And why Picard left her alone with the Borg Queen is like, that this is dangerous. You can see what the Queen is doing to her.
Yeah. I'm glad that they picked up Rios, but to be fair, I feel like they didn't all have to be separated. I feel like it was. Not.
So what's the whole point? This is what frustrates me. Why have Rios go through this entire situation? Simply so they could have their messaging about illegal immigration.
Right. Yeah.
It was the whole point of Rios' storyline was political discourse.
Yeah, it felt that way.
There was no higher functioning or higher reasoning behind it, other than to show what dirtbags 2024 is towards immigrants.
Right.
Illegal immigrants.
I have illegal immigrants in my family. They're doing just fine.
Trust me. Once they get them back over there, they'll just come right back over.
Yeah. Listen, these are facts.
These are facts. They don't stay over there.
I'm not gonna dime anybody out here, but like, I know people, and I know a dude that has been deported 7 times. And do you know why he's getting deported? Not because he's being picked up at a restaurant working or somewhere without papers. No, because he commits petty crimes or drug charges and then he gets deported and then he just comes right back. And he's actually not a bad guy. He's a good dude, but he's like, he's misguided.
Yeah.
And he just comes back. He speaks perfect English, by the way.
Yeah, like Rios.
Like Rios.
Right.
And he nothing he ever does is actually like hardcore enough to warrant any like real jail time. but it's hardcore enough for him to get fines, and so they just send him back.
Yeah.
And he's been here. He's like I don't, maybe not 7, maybe it's 5 times, but listen, it's definitely at least 5 times. I know I picked him up once. Okay.
Right.
And there's people in my wife's family who have been here like 40 years, and they have driver's license, and they have jobs, and they bought cars, and they don't have papers. They don't even have green cards.
No, they're just here.
They're just here. So I know, especially if you don't live on like border states like we are, a lot of people look at the media and movies and TV shows and whatever, and they go, "Oh, the immigrants are probably treated really poorly." It's not quite what you're seeing. You're seeing one very heavy-handed version of it.
And there are so many people here who are here illegally in Southern California. I would say probably a quarter of the population.
A quarter of the population easily. Yeah.
So the idea that like police are just going around and scooping up people and taking them back like 24 hours a day is just not the case.
Here's a metric. I've been rear-ended twice, and I've gotten into 2 accidents. So a total of 4 automobile accidents since I was 16. How many of those do you think were uninsured illegal drivers?
Probably half of them.
Half of them.
Yeah.
I hit someone that was uninsured, and he was like, "Dude, it's cool. Just get out of here."
Just keep going.
And then someone else hit me, and then he like took off. And with his car like hanging metal, and I'm like sitting there with my car almost totaled. So listen, this is heavy-handed. This is comically villainous for no reason.
It is. It's like comic book villain stuff. Yeah.
Right. I do like the guy named the actress, man. I gotta be honest. I'd like her a lot.
I mean, why do you like her?
She reminds me of Guinan, bro. She reminds me of a young Whoopi Goldberg.
She doesn't remind me. I'm sorry. I mean, she doesn't remind me of her at all. She doesn't have any of that innate, eternal wisdom. She doesn't have any of that sense of I've been around for hundreds of years and I know a lot of things. I didn't get that from this character at all. Well, she looks like Whoopi. She looks like a younger version of Whoopi.
Yeah,
but
I'm not saying
tough. But she didn't have that persona that Whoopi Goldberg has for Guinan. That mystical, right?
Yeah. I don't think we've had enough time to get that. If that's even there. But what I'm saying is she looks like a young Whoopi. It was a good casting.
It was a good casting, but I'm not saying she. It would have been nice to have this. To have a moment, she was more scared, or she was more angry, or she was more, because they were more worried about letting us see 2024 through the eyes of someone who's struggling in 2024, as opposed to the character of Guinan, whom we've long time known, that should give us this sense of all-knowingness, or she even had that in the 1800s a little bit during Times Arrow. So this character should have that.
Times Arrow, what a great episode of television.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Next Generation. It's they go back in time to the 1800s. Of course, Guinan's there. Surprise.
Oh, Data's. They buried Data's head. Yeah,
find Data's head. Yeah.
I remember we were making a video. It was one of the Paradox videos, and I went back and watched both episodes. And I think I remember calling you and be like, "Dude, I forgot how good these episodes were. Like, oh my god, they're so good."
Right. No, you're right. So it's interesting because there was this thinking, and I will say it has been cleaned up. But Terry Matalas came out. Basically, people were like, "Wait a second, how come Guinan doesn't remember Picard when she'd already met him in the 1800s?" And at first, I was kind of like that too, because I'm like, "Wait a second, the 1800s happened before." But Matalas came out and said, "No, it's a different timeline." And I kept going, "No. They went back to the same timeline." But then I remembered something. And I actually remembered it when Leah Thompson, when I realized she was directing the episode. Mm-hmm. I realized that in Back to the Future, in Biff, when they go into the future, right, the future has changed because of something that happened in the past. And remember how everybody's always disappearing?
Right.
So it made me realize that when Picard got shifted into this weird dystopian, I want to kill everybody, current century of his.
Right.
When he went back, that means that the Federation didn't, and he went back in that timeline, which could potentially still be his timeline, but isn't until it is changed. See,
Right.
I kept thinking she should know who he is until 3 days from now when the event happens.
No, that's not.
But
yeah,
I do understand it. But I hate time travel, so bleh.
Yeah, he went back in time from the Confederation when the Federation didn't exist. Now the Federation can exist if they prevent it from being changed, but as of right now, the Confederation is what is in charge.
But they still made a mistake, because when he said, my name's Jean-Luc Picard, like, okay, like that's supposed to mean something, right? My name's Jean-Luc Picard, and we're friends 400 years from now or whatever, right? And she does this thing where she like senses, right? And then she does what he wants. So what people are saying is, and I don't know if this is the truth or not, what they're saying is because she can sense things being out of time or times being out of,
Well, no. He said that. No, he actually said a phrase that she had told him, and he explained that Elorians have this ability to. I forgot exactly what it was. I guess we can go back and look at it.
the time thing.
Yeah, she had like.
But they don't.
They're sensitive to some kind of time echoes or something.
No, they're not. See, and this is the bull crap about it. Okay, so the Whoopi Goldberg Elorian is the only Elorian that has that ability. And we did a video about this.
Yeah. I don't like the fact that they're making it a natively.
It's not a native thing. In fact, it's officially written by the guy who wrote the movie that Whoopi Goldberg got this power through the timing of when she was beamed out of the Nexus at the moment she was there. And she ended up, part of her stayed in the Nexus and part of her came back. And that separation is what created her ability to sense the difference in time.
Right, her echo.
It's officially put down on paper that way. So the fact that they're doing this in this without acknowledging that is that bothers me a little bit. So they use that as a tool when in reality that should not be the case. She should not be able to sense time yet. Not until, at the end of Kirk's time.
Right.
So there's my pick. Oh my God, I got my own little rant going on here.
No, you're completely right. I'm wondering though. He did say they said something about it, time shift or whatever. I'm not gonna find it right now.
She doesn't get to have that power. And if they want to make it an Elurian thing, I mean, they just got to show me where. We know there are no other Elurians that we've seen.
Oh no, that's not it. This is the one she's complaining about the Earth.
Yeah, she throws up, right? Or something.
Oh yeah, what you're experiencing, because I'm repeating to you now words you would say back to me in the future. You told me about it once, many tomorrows ago. It's called Afakelt time sickness, a uniquely Elorian condition.
Yeah. Okay, I don't remember. I don't remember that conversation, but okay.
That didn't because it didn't happen, Shane. It happened off screen. We weren't privy to that.
Archmage Frey is right. There is another Elorian in DS9. That's true, and also Saurian was an Elorian from Generations.
Oh man, I forgot that they got that actor to play that role.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was great.
All right, and here we go. Loris.
Did not like that.
All right. So, what I'm seeing here is she recognizes Picard.
Right. There's a recognition, right?
Right.
Okay. So, man, this is tough. Okay. So, first off, let's just note, you can see right here, she has rounded ears. She does not have the Romulan ears.
But that doesn't mean anything. We've seen TNG alter people's physiology. We've seen they made B'Elanna look like a human. Remember?
Right, but this person does not want to be seen by anybody or anything. So I don't know why she would need to hide her ears to Picard. But okay.
Well, because she's there in general. Maybe I don't know.
Okay, maybe I'm just saying that's a difference. We should note that difference. Even if nothing was said, that's something that we've seen that's different, that we should just put, stick it in the back of your head somewhere.
Considering how dumb they think we are, I'm sure they're gonna explain that it was like some some future technology that allows her to modify her appearance.
Well, there needs to be some sort of explanation, obviously.
Right.
In this situation, she doesn't look alien. We need an explanation for that. But here's another thing that's interesting about this whole situation. There are a whole lot of things in this episode that people probably didn't notice. There was a lot of throwbacks to TOS, a lot of them. Do you remember the episode "The City on the Edge of Forever," where Kirk and Spock go back in time?
Yeah, that's with the Guardian of Forever.
Yeah, right. So they go back in time,
right?
And in this episode, they had the same boxing poster that was in that episode.
Okay.
They also had a picture of Floyd's barbershop in the background, which was also in that episode, and also the 21 Street mission, which was the same mission that was in that episode, is all in this episode. So that's very interesting and very cool Trek.
That is cool Trek. I hope that they do not bring the Guardian of Forever back, and I'll tell you why. It's bad. It only worked then, in my opinion, because science fiction was newer. When they used it in Discovery, it didn't work. But the fact that they use it in Discovery makes me think they might use it here.
They might, but also there's another explanation.
Okay.
So if you remember the TOS episode Assignment Earth and Gary 7.
Yes, Gary 7.
Okay. So this is
about a letdown. I want to know so much about that character.
You're about to learn a whole lot more about this character because Laris is referred to as a supervisor, just like Gary 7 was a supervisor. The transport device that she uses, the square thing that she throws Picard in, is very similar to the one that Gary 7 uses.
Oh, that's right. Gary 7 used a square transport thing.
Yes, he did.
Oh, snaps.
Right. Okay.
Oh my God. If they bring back the Gary 7 thing, I will get, I'm so happy. If they do this, then I'm going to give them 50% of the gaffes. I'm going to completely ignore this season.
Okay. That's fair. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but what do we do know? We know that Gary 7 was a code name. His ancestors were taken from Earth around 3000 BC and taken to another planet. And basically these supervisors traveled through time and kind of made sure that things were going appropriately. So the Watchers could be these supervisors. I'm not sure whether they would change the name. But it could be these people from this planet that kind of is supposed to go out into the universe and then go back and like help their societies when there's trouble. Right, in their timelines.
Yeah, so like they're sort of like time police.
Sort of like time police. Now I don't know if Gary 7 was time traveling or he must have been coming from that. The planet's like 1,000 light years away or something like that.
Yeah, but remember that episode of Voyager where 7 was co-opted by the time police to do work for them, and she was briefly taken out of the time stream in order to help them.
They've never really fleshed that out. It's very, it's all kind of sort of broken. And we don't have a really good grasp on what this time police thing. I don't know how I feel about the Watcher. We're really going to need to see next episode for me to really have a strong feeling about the Watcher's purpose and whether or not it feels right in Star Trek and whether it ties to things. What I can say is so far, Terry Matalas and the group have tried very hard to tie little things. The things I mentioned are not even all of them. There's other little things, names on buildings. The book that girl was reading at the very end is attached to one of the writers from the original TOS series. There's lots of little things here that tie into Star Trek. And I'm very pleased that they're doing that because I think that's the right thing to do, is to have all of these neat Easter eggs. But they have to continue with the strong writing. They have to get off they got to get off their pulpit. They got to get, quit standing there and preaching to us. And let's get back to telling the story. We've now had 2 episodes where the story has not really progressed much.
Yeah, well, yeah, I tell you, they've hit all the normal talking points. So I think we're done now.
Yes. Wait. Well, we're done with the talking. Let's go to action. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Yeah, I'm saying they hit all the preaching points. They can move on now. They complain about climate change and immigration and riots and inequality, all that stuff.
Yes.
They've gone through all the political check boxes. They've checked them all off. There's no need to go back and keep checking them off. We can continue with the story.
We're done. We don't need to keep going there, right?
Right.
He can come back. They can come back at the end. They can bring Guinan back in because she probably is not going to come back until then.
Right.
They bring her back in, and she's like, Picard, you were right. The future could be something, and then she stays.
Or don't bring her back at all. That's fine.
They will. The reason he said don't leave Earth is because they want to bring her back. I mean, tell me, this writing is going to be obvious. It's constantly obvious. Now the only one thing that was not obvious is we get Q in his Europa jacket trying to do his snap, and nothing happens.
Oh yeah, that was great.
So
look at
Q
that.
lose his powers?
Look at that. Look at that square, bro.
There it is.
Oh man, I think you're onto something there, bro.
And it's kind of a cool part of Trek to actually get. If this is who the Watchers are, then that's great. And I saw a comment over here. I know we're going to go back to the comments in a second. I think Archmage Frey brought it up that Laris is actually Isis, the shape-shifting cat partner of Gary 7 from the assignment Earth. So Gary had the cat partner.
Let me tell you guys something. Another reason I had puberty early. You guys don't even understand the amount of what the Star Trek was so responsible for my early teenage years, between Orions and Isis and 7 of 9. What do you want me to do?
Right.
All right.
Yeah. So what about Q? So, that paper actually talks about, I think, Brennan, who was from the Deep Space Nine episode where they time travel and they end up going back to the sanctuary cities. By the way, there's also a sanctuary city sign in this episode. But Brennan, who this article is about, he actually goes on to design a bunch of ships. But here he's like, I think he's fighting the unions about something in 2024. It's very, very intriguing how they're tying things together. And I do like that about this show, is that they're using elements of Star Trek and they're keeping us in our universe properly. Right. Even though I don't like necessarily the what do I want to call it, the grandstanding that's happening.
So Q was just talking to himself, waiting for someone, apparently, huh?
Is he getting? Yeah, I mean, what's up? Is he getting loony, or is he losing his mind? What's going on? Did they take his powers away? Did he lose his powers? What just happened right there?
Our original theory was that, like, he's trying to help Picard, even though the Continuum doesn't want him to, and maybe
maybe they're stopping him.
Maybe he's running from the Continuum, and they're gradually stranding him there.
Maybe it's interesting. He's talking to himself a lot. I mean, it makes sense. Who else is he going to be talking to, so we can get to get his thought process? So maybe he needs to have that sort of conversation. But it's very weird because you see this girl coming up. He's talking, and then you spin to him. It kind of makes him look a little crazy, no?
It does. Like he's monologuing
Is he
to
losing
himself.
his mind?
I don't know.
Something's wrong with him. They already said something's wrong with him.
But he is wearing a Europa project that directly ties in there.
It's going to come into play with the genetics.
Yeah.
In next episode, probably next couple.
Yeah, I mean, you guys remember where Khan was? Where was Khan? You guys remember?
Well, that's true. And Brennan built the ship that would eventually hold the crew from Space Seed from that episode, the Botany Bay.
Yes.
So there's a lot of ties to that. We're gonna get more in the next couple episodes, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I'm calling this up real quick. Yeah. Europa, right? According to Memory Alpha. Europa was the G-class moon. All right, so 20 people lived in and around Europa by the 23rd century. And,
it's a whole thing. It's yes. But there's not.
Yeah, in which in an alternate timeline, Noonien Singh won the eugenic wars, and he was also the first human to set foot on Europa.
Right. So it's very interesting because this is after the eugenics wars. The 2024 takes place 20 or 30 years after the eugenics wars.
Right.
Just before World War III is about to happen. Very interesting that World War III is supposed to happen in 2 years
Right. Yeah. Something's
in this timeline.
something is afoot.
Yes. Can I talk about one other thing that they shouldn't have done in the show that I thought was a little careless? When Rafi and Seven of Nine get beamed out, it's done so like right in front of the cops.
Oh, right. Right.
So seeing that actually happen, it would have been way better if they had already beamed out when the cops pulled up, and then the cops just think, well, they just disappeared. So I think a little bit irresponsible to kind of like show the beam out.
Right.
But it's splitting hairs, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Hey man, you know what? Even with the problems, I'm still on the edge of my seat. So
I'm still watching it. They lost me a little bit with all of the virtue signaling. But it took away from the story. It's not like it's like I'm hearing it constantly, every day. Anyways, it's just when I sit down to watch these things, it just kind of it pulls me out of the story. It's like jerking me out,
right.
and I feel like I get jerked out, and then I got to find my way back into what they're talking about because I'm getting hit with this weird reality that we're already hearing it on a daily basis. So it's like I don't really need to get smacked with it so hard.
Right. All right. We're gonna go to the comment section, but first, just in case you forgot, if you are not subscribed to this channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button on your way to the comment section to tell us what you thought of season 2, episode 4 of Picard, and we'll see you next.